All right, all right, all right. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna. I thought about doing the pre-record, but then I was like, no. So let's get ready to have this conversation real quick. All right, all right, all right. We are back. Man, I used to do the pre-record, but there's just so much there that I was like, let me just go live because that makes my life a little bit easier. So for those who just joined us, my name is Amuna. Welcome to the conversation. For those who already know what time it is, wagwan. You don't know already. So I had a little moment to look at this Kanye trilogy thing on Netflix. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about my thoughts on it. If you've seen it, let me know your thoughts, and then it's supposed to have another part. This is just part one. Um, so let's look at a little bit of the preview, and then I'm going to pull out some points that I observed, given that I spoke about Kanye and his mother interaction a few weeks ago, right? So let's go ahead and share, shall we? Shall we share? Do you want to share? Share the video, by the way. Like the video, share the video. Maybe I'll put more effort into pushing, but there's just so much going on. So we're going to get in where we fit in. All right. I'm going to stop and go a little bit because this is the trailer.
Hey Kanye, how would you describe your album? Man, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air. Then we got my man Kanye. Tracks, man, hold on. Well, first,
So the first thing that stood out to me, I like to say the first thing that stood out to me was just his confidence. As many say, he didn't get successful and then become confident. He was confident and then he became successful in whatever it is that he was pursuing, right? Success has many faces, depend on what we want to do. Success really just means what comes after. We could look that up at another time. So people, you can be successful in doing good. You can be successful at robbing the bank. If that's the goal that you set out for and you rob the bank successfully, then you're successful, right? So he had confidence. And as we go along, before he believed himself, before others believed in him, right? So he got high on his own supply, kind of to say, his mother instilled in him that he could do it, and that was kind of refreshing to see, even though it can come off as hubris or ego or whatever it is, just to see how much confidence he had in himself because someone in his life believed in him.
The camera on this up and coming producer back in '98. Shot-Town made it down here, boy. I knew he was destined for greatness. This is Cody right here. He shot all the footage.
So, and Cootie is the person who was shooting the footage, right? And since 1998, seeing this 19-year-old convinced that this person is going to be the next that's foresight, that's visionary, that's people able to see, okay, this is not a normal person, this drive is not normal, or the spirit on this individual is not normal. Sometimes if you're not in the right environment, that won't be cultivated. If you're not in the right environment, somebody can see your shine and want to diminish it before it materializes, right? But he happened to be in the space where he had enough people to believe in what he could see about himself and what he practiced. And I'm just trying to be objective in this point. I'm not doing the Kanye 2022 or all what's going on now. This is from 1998. What were you doing in 1998? Think about it. 1998, we in 2022. How old were you in 1998? 1998, I just left to college. I was there a year, confused, you know what I mean? Know that I was supposed to be doing something, didn't know. But in 1998, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And so a part of achieving your goal is knowing what target you're trying to hit, right? So let's continue.
The goal was to see how far his dreams would take him, but I had no idea what life would take us next.
You see, that's interesting because Cootie just said the goal. Like I was saying, in 1998, however old you were, let me make sure I could be heard. Hold on one second. Oh, however old you were, wherever you were in your growth and development, what was happening, and were you uh, Were you sure about where you were trying to go and what you were trying to do and how it was going to work out? The clearer the direction, the clearer the vision, the more precise your movements can be, right? And so part of the hurdle oftentimes is figuring that out. Wait, can y'all hear me? Is this added to the screen? Yeah, it's added to the screen. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me just hop back over here. I'm just doing a review live, y'all, because okay.
Explain my side of it though. He gonna be one of the greats, trust me, the next greats. And what's fucked up is that when a nigga become great, people get hate.
So again, the people around him, many, not all, knew that he was going to become one of the greats. Words sound power. They spoke it into existence. It's not that it wasn't that he was just sitting on the sidelines, not doing anything. According to the story, if you watch it, his mother gave him, invested in him, got him machinery, and he started making beats since the 7th grade. And he's putting all of this, 7th grade, how old are you, right? 12? 13, and you're going and you're going and you're going, putting in that time and energy to learn your craft, right? Back in the day, back in the olden day, people used to go for apprenticeship at 14 years old. So it's not beyond to start so early so that when you get to 20 and then mid 20s, you're proficient in what you're doing, right? So he started his apprenticeship early on, and it showed in the way in which he was able to meet his target. Let me continue.
And you need an angel to watch over you. I am 6 feet in the flesh. Ain't nobody ever broke that.
It's interesting that part where his mother says that you need an angel to watch over you. In the actual, that part of the conversation, he goes to his mother. He doesn't meet the full success. He's selling beats. His mother is saying, I thought you would buy a house. You don't have a house, but you're buying jewelry. And then she's reasoning that, oh, that piece of jewelry that he bought, she likes, and that he needs an angel to watch over him. There's a lot of prophetic conversation going on. And again, the person who's videoing this, he's not successful yet. He is trying. So they knew that. And people, every time he would go into offices and go everywhere, people were like, oh, you're shooting your documentary, you're shooting your documentary. So he was calling what wasn't as though it was, right? And the man who dedicated his time to capturing this all, the guy named Cootie, he could see, that this is going to be valuable one day. In 1998, what year? 22 years later? 22 years later. That's how long it took for them to present this information to the world. So again, it's lessons in nothing happens overnight, right? I'm going to give you the solonomics approach because that's just what I do. You understand? But nothing happens overnight.
It felt like the bigger Kanye got, the further we grew apart. But there was more to Kanye's story that I needed to tell. I'm interested in why you believe all of this has happened. I just think it was in God's plan.
So sometimes the people you start off with are not the people you end with for many reasons. It could be loyalty on one side or the other. It could be one feeling as though they've outgrown. It could be bad company. There's a lot of people who started off with good people who had their best interests at heart, and they got jaded along the way. I think to a certain degree, that's Kanye's situation. He got jaded along the way. He lost his footing, no longer grounded, and he's just floating. You know what I mean?
I think he just has me here for a reason, and I have something to say. It's people that might be better programmers, better rappers. Where I think I really won is I had the heart. If I do what I'm supposed to do, people gonna look back like, man, remember dude used to just make beats for people?
So he's telling you how he did it, and when you watch the 18-year-old and the 19-year-old, yeah, he walked into places like he belonged there, like he believed what he was saying, like he knew it would be, and that it was only a matter of time. Sometimes some of us have that confidence, and then we lose it along the way. When you get knocked down, when you get rejected, when you get turned away, and if you don't have that consistent person who possibly, if it's not necessarily coming from you and there's somebody outside of you telling you, get up, come on, you can do it, like a coach, you might lose your way sometimes. So in this situation, like I said, his mother and the people around him were those people who told him, you know what, you could do this. And you're showing and proving. I'm not just hyping you up and you whack, but you're showing and proving that you have these what it takes to make it. Let me see here.
I would like to congratulate you on the good job that you did with me. I just started with the music. I didn't know. Yay, West.
Oh, wait a minute. Y'all are not even seeing the thing.
Yo, this 21 years in the making.
Sorry. I keep doing that.
But hopefully with God's blessings, there shouldn't be no way for me to lose, really.
I often do that. My apologies. I had the screen. I had the screen thingy on, and therefore you guys couldn't see the video. If you have Netflix, check it out. Let me know your thoughts on it. I think that interesting part that they put at the end is that if you have God's blessing, sometimes it's our will. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not the Most High's will be done, because what it is that we're trying to do or we want to accomplish is our desire, right? But in religiosity, oftentimes people try to shift the on if it's God's will. And how do we know is that some of the things that we're trying to do does not bring glory to the Creator. You know what I mean? It's bringing glory to the flesh, it's bringing glory to man, it's bringing glory to idolatry. And then one has to say, would the Creator make that his will? Would that be his will for you to, you know, I ain't saying you a gold digger. If you begin to see where the person began and then where they ended up, we know that it could have started off as whatever you say it is, but it can easily shift. We see this in the case of King Solomon. He's a prime example of God's will, God's will versus man will, and how it can start off as one thing and transition or devolve into the other, where you end up into flesh, idolatry, all of these type of things. So this first episode, I think, was very insightful. You could see the relationship between him and his mother. You could see a bit that even though his mother instilled, this is what I saw. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Even though his mother instilled uh, confidence in him and all of those things, there is a level of, I want to say he was spoiled, but based on what I'm seeing, there's a level, yeah, that the person may have gone a little beyond. And I say that because there was a particular part when she was giving him a parable about the giant. When he looks in the mirror, he only sees himself. He doesn't see a giant, right? He sees nothing. And he asks directly, are you saying that I'm too arrogant, or that I should taper the way I deliver? And then his mother, at that opportunity, I thought, the reason you brought it up was because you're going to tell him, like, son, keep your feet on the ground. But she kind of backs away from it to a certain degree, as not to speak directly to him. And she also shared a story when they went to her house, that when he was like in kindergarten, she says, that Kanye screams out, "I don't need you," when his mother goes, when she was in kindergarten. So I was like, this is very, very interesting. It's a combination between the soul and the way in which the mother tried to compensate or possibly overcompensate for his father not being there and other things of that nature. So sometimes we can get too much of a good thing. There is such a thing, right? As too much of a good thing, and we don't temper it with the necessary counterbalance, and that also can spoil the person inadvertently. You know what I mean? So I think that if you watch the way he moves, you can see, unless somebody comes and taps him to reel him back in, he'll just keep going and going and going. Prime example about what happened in recent times. When some friend, somebody told him or gave him a word, much like his mother would have gave him, then he stopped posting. Then he stopped, quote unquote, harassing Kim in public, right? But before then, he didn't know his limit. He didn't know when to stop. Let me know if you guys have seen it. I'm not going to stay super long. I think the first part was like I said, telling just to see, and also the personality of the person that I don't know if we remember when he was on tour and he was upset that Jay-Z didn't reach out to him and he's pouring out his thoughts, in public. This seems to be who the person has been. In the episode, in the showing, he had a good friend or an old friend was upset now because when you start going on radio and when people start giving you attention, if you don't remember everybody's name, people start getting indifferent. People start getting resentful. So when he started to get a little limelight and one of the people who was there for him in the beginning didn't like the way he did or did not highlight them, he did a diss track. And Kanye seemingly was upset about that. And he didn't just go talk about it behind his back. He approached the guy. And I was like, okay, this has been who this person has always been. Like, why would you say that about me, XYZ? So it looks like a person who is not doesn't necessarily like to shy away from controversy. He will address it head on to resolve it in whatever way that he can. So that was like 18, 19 years old. So you get to see that is the person. There's some things that we become, and there's some things that's just in the core, that's just in the fabric of the individual. And that appeared to be in the fabric of the person. So that's what I have. The relationship with the mother, the relationship with the friends, and the willingness to even though at first Rockefeller Records didn't see his potential as an artist, because he saw his potential as an artist, he continued to pursue, he continued to sell beats, he continued to do those things, but he didn't let go of his goal of signing on as an artist. But sometimes, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's this situation, but sometimes our persistence can work against us, because if it, like he said in the beginning, if it be God's will, then something will happen. But sometimes we push beyond the gate, and when we go beyond, even though it's no, it may not be no forever. It may be no, not that person. It's like, somebody wants to get married, but it's not that person. It's not that you're never going to get married. It's just that you're not going to get married to that person, or you're not going to have a child with that person. And sometimes we push and push and push. And then when we get to the other side of the conversation, it's not what we intended. So on the good side, you see how we can pursue goals and reach them. And on the not so good side, we can see how we can push and test boundaries and how they have adverse effects. Even though it's what we wanted, we weren't specific enough. We didn't specify exactly what we wanted. And so you're so excited to get it. Like in this particular episode, he gets the deal. Yeah, and he's like kind of at the table praying. But then later on, we see him pissing on the let me see if I could still get that shot where he was pissing on the Grammy for having a bad deal. So I think if anything, where's that picture again? You guys remember that when he was pissing on the Grammy, or peeing, urinating, let me say. Um, the same deal that he's so excited to sit at the table with. Oh, here it is. Let's go down memory lane. The same deal that he was so, you so wanted. This is what you wanted. This is what you said you wanted. And now, when you realize the implications, so that's how I'm connecting these two. Let's go down a trip down memory lane a little bit. For those who just joined us, I'm giving you my thoughts on the little that I do know about this conversation. I watched the documentary, the first half anyway, first third, and it was rather interesting. Hold on one second. Let me share my screen. Let me know. Oh, let me take off this so we can see the whole Grammy conversation. And if you have seen it, I'm going to drop the link in the box and then you come on up. All right. Let's see if we remember. So in one part of the series, he is at the table and he is excited. I don't know. I can't show it to you. It just gives me black screen. If I try to show you Netflix, I guess they don't want people sharing the screen or whatever. But this is a little trip down memory lane. How 1 minute you're like, this is the best day ever. It's everything I ever wanted. Where in the world? Oh, yeah. It's everything I ever wanted. And then, bam. How many years later, you're pissing on your Grammy? So you wanted to be recognized by the world, but on the next half, you're asking the world to please leave me alone. This was 2020, right? So this would have been I think he signs the deal, according to the conversation, in 2004. So this would be doing 16 years later. I know that's gross, viewer discretion advised, but he literally urinated on the Grammy. But I wish I could take a screenshot of him sitting at the table. Hold on. Let's see here. Kanye just posted a video of himself apparently urinating on his own Grammy statuette, which is chilling in one of the toilets at home and being subjected to a golden shower. I'm not going to laugh. Hard to say for sure if this is real or not, but the imagery is striking and gross too, we might add. And this is when he started posting up all of his he was posting up all of his contracts. He was posting up all of these things and showing essentially that he was robbed. But again, sometimes we want something so bad, no matter how many people have gone through that door and tell you it's not what you think, we don't believe it until we go through the door, and then there it is. So yeah, so I'll wait for part two, see what pops off over there, and I'll come back and share my thoughts. If you've seen it, put a comment below. If you learned anything from, cautionary tales. I don't know whatever happened to cautionary tales, people. That's what Aesop's fables are all about. I think to a certain degree, we've stepped away from the wisdom of cautionary tales, and that is ego. Because so many people before us have come, and now people, the younger people, are saying there must be another way. I don't have to go through that door to get to where I'm going. And then we know that. Why? Because all of the corporations are now trying to come the other door, the social media door, because they realize that people like, I don't need to do that to get to where it is that I'm going. But I guess in this time, it wasn't as easy to be an underground artist. And if you wanted public recognition, and if you wanted all of these things and the bling and the blah, 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 then you had to go through certain doors. And we see ultimately where they end. I don't know of too many people who've gone through those doors and came back out the same. Let me know if you do. With that said, I'll go ahead and wrap up for now. And overall, it was a good documentary. So we'll talk again soon.